The markets are closed today on Monday, but let's take a look at Nvidia stock, see if we can work out where price may be headed in the future. Let's draw in a parallel channel that can give us a bit of clarity about how the stock has been trading in recent times. Okay, so this is the parallel channel that I would be using to look at how price has been moving. Now, of course, this has been really powerful support ever since 2023 when Nvidia began its, massive run that it's been on for the past few years. It's always come back and retested or, got very close to this trend line before moving further upwards. It did provide resistance at multiple points, including in late 2025. Eventually, we did get above the parallel channel, but there was not really any decisive breakout that got you moving in a parabolic way, and we've sort of just been trading in this range, chopping around, not decisively breaking out nor breaking down. You did have a potential breakout over here going all the way to $210, but price came back in to the parallel channel. So I would say it's not the most bullish price action ever. You would have hoped that, after this breakout here, you'd be able to come back, retest, and, perhaps go higher, but not what ended up happening, and we're still chopping around here. So what does that mean for the stock? There is a very real possibility that the stock could drop down to the bottom of the parallel channel. That's never an impossibility. As long as it's trading within this range, then at some point you may revisit the extremes of the range. So that would probably be around $120 or so, give or take, a further 35% move down from the current levels. If you're bullish, then of course you want to see another attempt at the breakout, and this time sustainably break above, use it as support to then go higher. I will add my trend indicator because I think this is very helpful for understanding where price may be headed next. You can see we have put in a danger signal on the indicator. Now, we had a bit of a sell-off after we put that signal in, and we've now climbed back up, tested the parallel channel high again, and have rejected. Now, I think it's entirely possible that you may see something similar to when we got a danger signal back in February of 2025. At that time, you actually ran up quite a bit after that signal before putting in a bit of a lower high and then pushing a lot lower all the way to the bottom of the parallel channel. I wouldn't be shocked if something similar happens here. You've had the upwards movement in price here. You've had a rejection at the top of the parallel channel. Perhaps we now come back in and maybe even head all the way to the bottom of the parallel channel and flip from a bullish regime to a bearish regime. I would say that's probably more likely than breaking out at this point. These signals do tend to be rather reliable in terms of predicting short to medium term price action. Obviously, Nvidia is the biggest stock in the market, so if it comes down, it's going to negatively affect the relevant indices quite heavily. If we get a bloody day on Tuesday, then I would anticipate Nvidia to, at some point, come down and retest the bottom of the parallel channel before either heading higher or breaking below that. If we're looking at longer term targets and particularly lower targets and expectations that we may have, you may try to find some support around this level here. $150 or so has previously been pretty great for support and resistance. We broke out here, so I would expect price to at least retest that before heading to the bottom of the channel. Maybe you get a bounce there, for example, something like this, and then head to the bottom of the parallel channel. Will you then head back up, or is it more likely that will break down? Hard to say. That's going to depend a lot on the economy in general, the state of the AI trade, and how the Fed is positioning in terms of quantitative easing and rate cuts. So 150, I'd be looking for a potential bounce, although I wouldn't say it's going to be the strongest level ever. Then I'd be looking at potentially around these sort of levels here, maybe around $100 for if you do end up breaking down below this parallel channel, then I would expect this to be a level where you may bounce to retag the parallel channel, use it as resistance before then maybe heading lower. This is the pattern that I would expect to play out, something along these lines. If the market does end up breaking down, I would say that it's always possible we could end up going higher here, but macro and the indicators are suggesting to me that it's more likely we have downside. Of course, we can never know 100% in trading what the charts will end up doing, but we're just working with probabilities, and I would say the probabilities favor the downside here, maybe 70%, 30%, something like this. Worth noting, there is a gap very low, around $30 or so. You guys know I love these gaps, and gaps often like to be filled. I would say that would be a very strong level to be buying in if we were to head down there on Nvidia. Now, obviously, that is a difficult ask. It is down to 83% from current levels. And of course, with the amount of money that Nvidia is currently making, in order for it to reach these kind of levels, you would have to have a real implosion of the AI trade in some way, a lot less demand for Nvidia's GPUs and AI architecture. How likely is that? Well, hard to say. Not sure it will be happening in the near term. If we were to get there, it would probably take quite a while. And yeah, I mean, the AI trade right now doesn't seem like it's slowing down anytime soon, but just something to keep on your radar in the background. There's always the possibility, even if a stock looks like it would be just ridiculously cheap at a certain level, it's always possible it can get there if the earnings contract, if the valuations compress, if there is fear more broadly in the markets and everything is selling off and there are liquidity issues. There's always a possibility that you can get down to these kind of levels on a stock like Nvidia. So just be aware. It doesn't have to happen, but it's something to keep in the back of our minds. Okay, as for upward targets, of course, you've got the top of the parallel channel around $195. That can, again, act as resistance, although we've been sort of chopping and breaking above momentarily the top of this parallel channel, so I wouldn't take that as the strongest level. I would more be looking at this particular trend line here. If you were to break out from the channel, I think that would again be resistance, and that represents a potential upside of around 23% from here up to $225 or so. So that would be my upside target on the stock. When you're a big name like Nvidia, at some point the law of large numbers comes into play, and it's just very difficult. You know, if Nvidia grows another 20%, then you're adding 800 billion to the market cap, which is just an insane amount of money. Of course, not impossible, but going much beyond that ends up being difficult. At some point, the stock is worth more than the economies of various countries, and, you know, it just starts getting a little bit obscene. So with that being said, I hope that's helpful for you if you are curious about where Nvidia might be headed next. These would be my levels. I think downside, as I said, is more likely in the short to medium term than upside, but anything is possible, of course. We cannot predict with 100% certainty. With that being said, thank you very much for watching. Do subscribe as always for more videos. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.